In my last video, I created a device to display and animate text across multiple MAX7219 matrix modules using Blynk and Parola library. There I showed how to create the case for this device and connect all the components together. I didn't discuss much about coding and setting up the Blynk side of things. The idea is to do it in this video, so stick around. As I mentioned in the first part of this tutorial, I'm not going to write the entire code from scratch. Instead, I will modify the existing code I created for my Parola library tutorial. Parola is a library that enables various text animation across multiple daisy-chained MAX7219 matrix modules. You're more than welcome to check out that video, as it may help you better understand the concepts I discuss in this tutorial. In that video, I created a data structure that contained all the necessary elements for a single text animation, including the text to animate, the in and out animation types, animation speed, pause duration before the text animates out, and text justification. Using this structure, I built a table where each row represents one text animation. Several rows together form a sequence of animations, which can be played on a display using methods provided by the Parola library. Here is a sample presentation from the Parola video. In this tutorial, we will still limit ourselves to 8 steps in the animation sequence. We'll start by clearing each row by removing an animation text and setting all other values to their defaults. Next, we'll introduce an animation steps variable to indicate how many of the available 8 steps are currently in use. The initial value is set to 0, meaning no steps are active at the start. Our objective is to use Blynk to input animation details and send them to the microcontroller. The data will be updated in the row corresponding to the current animation steps index. Once this is done, we increment animation steps, so the next animation step created will be stored in the next row of the table. In the default Parola code, animations start immediately. However, in this case, we need to introduce an animation running variable with the initial value of 0. The animation will only run when this variable is set to 1. And will toggle its value using the Blynk button widget. That's the concept. Now let's make it happen. Before we look at the design of the mobile app dashboard, we need to first examine the underlying setting in the Blynk cloud. I won't be covering the creation of Blynk template and device in this video, as I have already explained the basics of the Blynk project creation in my previous tutorial. If you're unsure how to do this, be sure to check it out. The initial steps for every Blynk project are the same. The differences start when setting up the data streams, which are used to transfer data between the Blynk mobile app and the microcontroller. As you can see here, we have 10 data streams using virtual pins numbered from V0 to V9. I will go through them one by one, showing you which widget in the mobile app each data stream is connected to. We'll start with text to animate, which holds the text we want to animate. It is linked to the virtual pin V0. If we click on it, we can see its definition. It is of type string, and its default value is blank. Next, we have entry animation, linked to virtual pin V1. This holds the numeric ID of the animation. Looking at its definition, we see that it is of type integer, with allowed values ranging from 1 to 20, with 1 as the default value. Following that is exit animation, which is defined the same way as entry animation, except it is linked to virtual pin V2 instead. Then we have the duration data stream linked to virtual pin V3. This is also of type integer with allowed values from 0 to 10, where 1 is the default. In the Arduino code, this value is referred to as speed. The pause data stream connected to V4 is defined in the same way as duration. The just data stream connected to virtual pin V5 holds the numeric ID for the text justification. The allowed values range from 0 to 4,
with 0 as a default value. The summary data stream is a text type linked to virtual pin V6, which is connected to a terminal field that displays all the steps of the current presentation. The save data stream is used to activate the button that saves the current animation steps, using the value set for the virtual pins discussed earlier. It is linked to virtual pin V7, is numeric, and has values 0 or 1 representing the two states of the push button. The next two data streams are defined in the same way, as they correspond to the run presentation and reset presentation buttons. They are connected to virtual pin V8 and V9, respectively. Now let's take a look at the mobile app dashboard and see how each widget is defined. In change mode, we can click on each widget to view its detailed definition. As you can see, the text to animate field is linked to the previously defined virtual pin V0. The animation selection widgets are actually drop-down menus where you can see animation descriptions. However, if we open the definition, you can see that these animations are assigned to specific numbers. The same applies to the justification selection. The duration and pause widgets are defined in the same way. We use the type of widget that provides buttons to increase or decrease the integer value in one-step increments. They are linked to virtual pin 3 and 4 respectively. Next is the terminal widget, linked to virtual pin V6. This is the only widget that is not an input widget. It will be used to display the current content of the animation table, so you know exactly what will be shown on the device when we press the Run Animation button. The only setting here is to enable auto scroll. When it comes to buttons, you'll notice that the Add Step button is linked to the virtual pin D7 and set to push mode, making it momentary push button. The Run Presentation button, linked to virtual pin V8, is set as a switch, making it self-latching push button. The last button, linked to virtual pin V9, is the Reset button. This one is set to push, making it momentary push button. Now let's move on to what's happening on the Arduino side. First, let's have a quick look at the declarations. As I mentioned earlier, we will be modifying an existing program from my Parola library tutorial. So here is a rough outline of how the original code was structured in terms of declarations and initialization in the setup function. Initially, we had the Parola and MAX7219 libraries declared. Then a few variables were defined to create the Parola object, including pin assignments. These pin assignments differ from those in my original project, since we are using an ESP board instead of classic Arduino. With these values defined, we could then create the Parola object and activate it in setup function. In addition to this, now we need the Blynk project identification data, which we obtain when creating the project in the Blynk cloud. For details on this, please refer to my previous Blynk tutorial. Next, we need to declare additional libraries for the ESP microcontroller and Blynk. We also require Wi-Fi credentials so we can, with Blynk authorization token, register our project with the Blynk cloud. We then define several variables to store information received from the Blynk app widgets. Notice that the variable animated text that stores text to be animated is defined as table of characters. With all this in place, we can now explore how the Blynk app interfaces with the microcontroller. Whenever a data stream value changes, there is a corresponding method in the Arduino code that reacts to it. This method operates outside the normal program flow and functions similarly to an interrupt. Let's examine the first method, which handles virtual pin V0 and the text to animate widget. In all the methods we will review, param is an object representing the parameter received from the Blynk cloud when a value is sent to the corresponding virtual pin. In this case, the value is received as a string and stored in the text input variable. We calculate its length and then use a command to copy the value into the animated text character array. We need to do this because we will later pass this information to the text out field of the animation object, which is also a character array. This approach helps us avoid data type mismatches. At the end, we need to null terminate the string. Okay, so this method was a bit complicated. The next few, however, will be super simple. They will just pass the param value to the corresponding variable. We have v1 method for entry animation, the v2 for exit animation, the v3 method for speed, the v4 method for pause, and the v5 method for the text justification. The method for saving the animation step is much more complex. If param passes value 1, it means the button was pressed. The first thing we do is sync virtual pins from v0 to v5. This triggers the corresponding methods for those pins, ensuring that we have the most up-to-date values that are displayed on the mobile phone screen. Next, we wait for a short period to make sure all the data is processed. Since we are adding a new animation step, we increase the animation step count. Then I calculate the length of the animated text and use that length to copy all characters from the animated text variable into the text out character array of the animations table in the row corresponding to the current step number. The string is null terminated at the end. I also pass the entry and exit animation IDs to the relevant fields of the animation object. Here I need to convert integer values to the TextEffect data type. Next we store the speed and pause values using the necessary formulas. We also handle text justification, which requires another type conversion. After creating the new step and updating its values, we need to build an up-to-date list of animations and send it to the terminal widget on the mobile phone, the one that is connected to virtual pin 6. We construct the string using the generate animation details function, clear the terminal widget, and send the generated string to it. Next, let's look at the method for the run presentation button, linked to virtual pin V8. It's simple, as it only toggles the animation running variable. But let's quickly check what happens in the loop function when this variable is set to 1. Here is the loop function from the original Parola sketch. In it, we set up the animation index to the first animation in the animation table. If there is no animation running during loop function execution, we check if the animation index is pointing to the last animation in a sequence. If it is, we reset it to 0 so that the entire animation sequence starts again. Then we run the animation associated with the current animation index. After that, we wait for a second and increment the animation index so that the next time the loop function runs, it processes the next animation in the sequence. For our Blynk upgrade, we need to run blynk.run to check for widget changes. Before running any animation, we check the value of the animation running variable, which was set in the method associated with virtual pin V8, triggered by the run presentation button widget. If the value is 0, it means the presentation has stopped, and we clear the screen. Otherwise, we continue running the animations one by one, increasing the animation index after each step. Finally, we have the last method, which is associated with the reset button and virtual pin V9. If the widget passes a value of 1, it means we reset the animation table. To do this, we set the animation steps variable back to 0 and reset all other variables linked to the animation widgets to their default values. Then in a loop, we also reset all the values within the animation list table. Finally, we use the virtual write command to reset the widget values on the mobile screen back to their defaults. We deactivate the run presentation button and reset the animation running variable back to 0. It's time for a quick demonstration. Now I'll add the first step by entering text first and then selecting enter and exit animation for it. I will leave the rest of the values as default. After pressing add step, what happens? All the animation step details are written to the row in the animation list table that corresponds to the current value of the animation step variable. So the first row, which has the index of 0. After this, the animation step variable increments and we can see the updated animation presentation details in the terminal window. Now let's repeat these actions to add step 2 of the animation sequence. When I press the Add Step button, the row with the index 1 gets updated and the animation step variable increases to 2. Next, let's press the Run Animation button. This toggles the Run Animation variable, which starts the presentation. And it looks perfect. For the final test, let's clear the animation sequence using the Reset Animation button. As you can see, this clears all the widgets and animation list table and reset both the animation step and run animation variables back to 0. Now if I add a new step, it will be the first in the sequence again. And when I run the presentation, only this step will be animated in the loop.
And with that, we have reached the end of this video. Don't forget to like it, share it with others, and subscribe if you want to see similar content in the future. You can go an extra mile and support me through Patreon or becoming my channel member. I will see you guys in my next video. Ciao!